In the palace of the Cairo Empire, Jason looked at Sergio not far away with cold eyes. What do you want to do? Sensing Jason's terrifying eyes, Sergio's expression suddenly became extremely frightened, and he spoke in anger. The previous deaths of Snapshot and Bullwin had completely filled his heart with fear. His legs were shaking slightly, his face was pale, and his eyes were frightened. Sergio, do you know your guilt? Jason walked forward slowly, speaking coldly. I know the crime, I know the crime. Under the pressure of Jason's powerful aura, Sergio fell to the ground and nodded repeatedly. At this time, except for these words, he could no longer say anything else. Coming. It's so pathetic. Looking at Sergio, who was almost scared to death, Jason shook his head and sighed. This is such a guy. For his own rights and his own freedom, he has sacrificed the entire empire and the lives of countless people. We're all handed over to the hands of strong men from another dimension. Jason felt pity for all the imprisoned people in the Stern continent, felt sorry for the 50,000 soldiers who died at the border of the Elixir Tower, and also felt sorry for the Tianshan Palace and the strong men who fell in this battle. Who? Without even looking at the other party, Jason waved his hand directly. Sergio, who was sitting there with a horrified expression, turned into ashes and nothing was left. During the whole process, in the distance, countless guards, ministers and powerful men from the Cairo Empire were watching, but they all showed fear on their faces and did not dare to say anything, let alone rush forward. Sniff. The next moment, Jason rose into the sky and disappeared in the imperial capital of the Cairo Empire. It's over. Our Cairo Empire is completely over now. Looking at the damaged palace, many ministers present were looking at each other. They knew that with the death of His Majesty Sergio, their Cairo Empire was completely finished. In the endless void, feeling the surging divine power in his body, Jason's mouth showed a slight smile. I didn't expect that this battle would be so easy. Although Jason was full of confidence in himself in this battle, he was also prepared for a life and death battle. Jason even thought that if I was really invincible, so what should I do? The result was far beyond my expectations. During the entire battle, except for the sole attack of Snapshot's Heaven and Earth Nirvana and the last move of Demon God's Howl, which posed some threats to himself, basically, Snapshot's attack during the entire battle was completely beaten by Jason. However, even though it seemed that he easily killed Snapshot, there was no trace of relaxation or carelessness in Jason's heart. After all, there were many reasons why Jason won this battle. Although he had just been promoted to the god level not long ago, he was unable to use a powerful artifact like the 5-element spiritual bead, which a low-level spiritual god like Snapshot could never have done. In comparison, secondly, the reason why Jason won was also because he possessed the powerful secret technique of East Pole God King Stern. The art of divine soul and the art of arsenic refining are the unique skills of the East Pole God King Stern. Even the 5 great generals under the East Pole God King, such as Overlord Taste and others, were not able to fully control them. This shows how powerful they are. There is no doubt that these 2 secret techniques have improved Jason's strength. Apart from anything else, if I had not practiced the art of the soul, I am afraid that when I first met Snapshot, I would have been hypnotized by his Heaven and Earth Nirvana song, and then killed him with a knife. The next step is the help of the God of War Tower. Snapshot's last 6 moves sealed the void. Jason was completely imprisoned and unable to move at all. Snapshot unleashed the most powerful attack on soul and material at the same time. If Jason hadn't possessed the God of War Tower, block that terrible move for yourself. I'm afraid that if you are attacked by Snapshot, you will be seriously injured even if you don't die. Therefore, it seems that this battle is not as vigorous and thrilling as the previous battles with Atkinson Tower Master, Gareth and others. It is not even as exciting as the battle with the core disciples of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower when he was still a 7th level Imperial Spiritual Master. The kind of back and forth between you and me seems a bit ordinary, but in terms of the degree of danger, it is even worse. Such is the battle between god-level warriors. Whether it is a soul attack or a material attack, if you miss, the result is likely to be death. There is no room for luck. The ordinary things often contain the power of giant dogs. Crisis. While flying towards the elixir tower, Jason also summarized the gains and losses of this battle and learned from experience. However, after all, I have just been promoted to the divine level. After I get familiar with my divine body, I believe that my strength will improve again in the near future. Jason, who was flying at high speed in the void, raised his head and looked forward, his eyes full of determination. With light. In the conference hall of the Timeline Alchemist Tower, where Jason returned to the Alchemist Tower, many powerful people were waiting silently. They have been staying here since Jason set off. At this critical moment, although they all wanted to calm down, their 6 hearts could not settle down, and they could not even continue practicing, so they all gather here and wait. Master Bispham Tower, please let me go. A clear voice sounded in the hall, with anxiety in it, resounding in everyone's ears. The owner of this voice turned out to be Lan Yugusin. No. In the conference hall, the master of Bispham Tower shook his head firmly. Not long after Jason left for the Cairo Empire, Lan Yugusin, who had been absorbing the divine chain of laws on the God Transformation Island for the past year, was promoted from the 9th level peak to a demigod and recovered from his training. Lan Yugusin, who has been practicing in the past year and has never stepped out of the 9 spirits chi gathering formation, also knows nothing about the outside world. When she knew that Jason went to the Cairo Empire to fight against the famous god after becoming a super strong man, he immediately asked to go to the Cairo Empire to help Jason. However, this decision was firmly rejected by the master of Bispham Tower. Not only Bispham, but also the rest of the people present stopped Lan Yugusin's move. It's not that they don't want someone to help Jason, it's just that a god-level powerhouse is too scary. Although Lan Yugusin has been promoted to a demigod and is a spiritual master of both water and wood elements, her strength is at best equivalent to the peak level of a demigod, cannot exceed the limit of a demigod at most. In a god-level battle, it is of no use at all. It would be fine if Jason won, but if Jason failed, Lan Yugusin would be a burden. Not only would he not be able to help, it would distract Jason and hinder his escape. But, let me wait here. I really feel like Lan Yugusin's expression looked extremely painful. She hated why she was so slow in absorbing the law divine chain. It took nearly a year to achieve a breakthrough. Demigod, if she could reach god level, she would be able to help Jason in battle. Don't worry, everyone, we have to believe in Jason, he will definitely succeed. Bispham said comfortingly. Yes, Jason and I have known each other for so many years. He has created too many miracles. I believe the result this time will be the same. When have you ever disappointed us when we saw Jason? Nusi spoke with determination in his eyes. Yes, Jason was able to lead us out of the forbidden land of the 7-star sea and escape from the pursuit of the spiritual master tower when the trial land was in such a dangerous situation. Now this is nothing. Caswell also said coldly. Make a sound. Jason created too many miracles as part of the original 6-man team. Someone has entered the secret realm of our elixir tower. A surprised voice sounded, and in the center of the conference hall, the master of Bispham Tower stood up. It must be Jason. Everyone's faces suddenly showed excitement, and they rushed out of the conference hall. The secret realm of Ruchuan's elixir master tower is normally closed and has no talismans. No one can enter at will except Jason and the master of Bispham Tower. Huh. Sure enough, as soon as everyone rushed out of the elixir tower, they saw the figure wearing a gray-brown robe appearing in the air and flying down. Blue Moon Goosen Bispham Tower Master and the others rushed in excitedly. Past. Looking at this large group of people, Jason's heart was filled with happiness. Master of Bispham Tower, Blue Moon Goosen, everyone. Jason had a smile on his face. Jason, was that god-level expert killed by you? The master of Bispham Tower said tremblingly. Lan Yugusin, Philea, and others also looked at Jason. Of course he's dead. Jason smiled calmly. Ghost everyone took a deep breath at first, and then their expressions became extremely excited. That's great, haha, that's great. Cassinus laughed. Jason, you killed a god-level strongman. My revenge for the heavenly god palace has finally been avenged. Thalia was also trembling with excitement, with tears in her eyes. I'm telling you, actually I've already passed it. This time Jason has succeeded immediately. McGrady also laughed, his white beard standing up. In fact, he did calculate it for Jason before he left. Unfortunately, he was a 9th level peak Holy Spirit Master and could not yet pry into the fate of a god-level powerhouse. Hurry up, and come to the celebration banquet. Our elixir tower is going to have a carnival today. Yes, a carnival. Everyone's face was red with excitement. Yes, we are going to have a carnival, but we must rescue the people on the border of the Cairo Empire as soon as possible. I believe that there are not only the places I saw there, but also the Cairo Empire. I think our progress should be accelerated. Jason he also smiled and nodded. Before setting off to this grave, he also went there with the belief of not caring about life and death. Jason, don't worry, I have already arranged this matter. The Master of Bispham Tower laughed. The Spiritual Medicine Master Tower today is more lively than ever. This carnival lasted for a whole day, and it was not until night that everyone returned to their residences. Cassinus, come here. At the banquet, Jason called Cassinus to his side. Jason, what's the matter? Cassinus walked over in confusion, and everyone looked at Cassinus curiously. Huh. Jason waved his hand and took out a black sword. Cassinus, this sword is the weapon of the god-level strongman. That god-level strongman is a dark-type spiritual god. This weapon naturally also has dark attributes. You are the only one among us. It can be used. Although you are using a sword, I believe that this sword can also play a certain role in your hands. Yes. Cassinus took the sword and looked extremely excited. Touching and inspecting it, a faint divine power spread over the sword, giving it an extremely sharp aura. Although Cassinus is an expert with swords, this sword is an artifact that can definitely improve his combat power a lot. Besides this sword, there is one more thing, but I don't know if you want it. Jason looked at Cassinus with a half-smile. Is there something else? Cassinus was stunned, it wouldn't be like this. A thought flashed through his mind, making him breathe harder. As smart as he is, listening to Jason's words, I vaguely guessed what Jason was going to do. Since such a thing is given behind the sword, it is definitely more precious than the sword, and there is only one thing that is more precious than the sacred sword. Why, don't you want it? Seeing Cassinus not speaking, Jason smiled lightly. Yes, of course I do. Cassinus continued. Haha, seeing Cassinus's expression, Jason couldn't help laughing, and his right hand shook. A strong divine power spread in the hall, and a black divine chain of dark laws was floating in his palm. This is the divine chain of laws of the god-level strongman. Go and refine it. I hope you can reach the divine level as soon as possible. Cassinus took the divine chain of laws and his eyes were red with excitement. God is the realm that every strong person in this world aspires to. Before meeting Jason, Cassinus' dream in this life was to avenge his family, but he almost died in the golden armored crab at that time. In the hands of the beast. It was Jason's appearance that saved his life, and in the following days, helped him get revenge. For Jason, Cassinus was filled with gratitude from the bottom of his heart. Now, Jason has given him the Law God chain. Such a generous gift really makes a strong person like Cassinus unable to help but want to cry with excitement. Okay, Cassinus, I hope you can work hard and refine the divine chain of law as soon as possible. I have a hunch that the crisis on the mainland has not been resolved yet. This battle is just the beginning. I need you, I need you. Everyone, fight side by side with me. Jason stared at everyone and spoke solemnly. Bispham and the others did not understand the danger at all, but Jason, who had received the inheritance of the God King, clearly understood that what they were dealing with was the three God Kings of the God realm. This was an extremely powerful force. Now, he's still too weak, too weak. Don't worry, Jason, we will all work hard. Everyone looked determined. It was impossible for them not to envy the good luck of Cassinus. After all, it was the divine chain of law. Once refined, it could become a god. Why did they fight so life and death on the battlefield of the gods in the first place? A fragment of God's law can make them abandon life and death, let alone a chain of God's law. However, this envy was only for a moment. Jason's actions made them understand that as long as they work hard, there will be no benefits when the time comes. Jason will never forget everyone and everyone. This banquet was held for a whole day. After the banquet, Jason said goodbye to everyone. Everyone, what happens next is up to you. I'm going to go out. Jason, what are you? Jason's words stunned Bispham and others. I want to go to the spiritual beast mountain range. There are some issues that I haven't figured out yet. Jason said aloud. At the time, he clearly heard Brat say that they guard the major forbidden areas. Although the God realm, there will still be strong men coming to Stern Continent, but there will definitely not be any God-level strong men. But now, a God-level strong man has appeared in the Cairo Empire, which makes Jason's heart full of doubts. If we don't figure this out, we'll be in trouble if a powerful person appears in the world of gods next time. If a lower spiritual god appears this time, a middle spiritual god or a higher spiritual god may appear next time, even to the powerful in the realm of gods. If such a thing really happens, even if the Father and the others who have obtained the law god chain are promoted to spiritual gods, it will not help at all. After bidding farewell to Bispham and others, Jason immediately turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the sky. And Bispham and others, after Jason left, were fully prepared to regain all the territory of the Cairo Empire. Above the vast sky, white clouds linger. Jason came out of the spiritual medicine master tower and flew all the way. Only an hour later, he arrived at the outskirts of the spiritual beast mountain range. Looking at the extremely deep spirit beast mountain range, known as the most forbidden land in the mainland, Jason flew directly in without any hesitation. During the flight, Jason felt the breath of countless powerful spiritual beasts, and as he continued to go deeper, the spiritual beasts that appeared became more and more terrifying. This spirit beast mountain range is indeed the most forbidden area in the mainland. Among them, there are quite a few saint-level spirit beasts at the peak of the 9th level, and there are even some spirit beasts that have reached the demigod realm. Such a place, even if it is more than if Master Svam Tower and the others come, they may also perish here. After feeling the breath of those spirit beasts, Jason couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The last time the god's birthday opened, many spirit beasts in the spirit beast mountains were dormant. Jason and the others didn't feel how scary it was, but this time, Jason, who had reached the god level, could sense it clearly with his divine consciousness. Of course, under Jason's god-level coercion, all the spirit beasts in the spirit beast mountain range were obediently lying on the ground, and no one dared to attack Jason boldly. A moment later, Jason came to the tall red mountain peak on the day of the god's birth. Jason, come and pay a visit to Senior Brat. Outside the mountain peak, Jason immediately spoke loudly, his voice rolling, echoing in the depths of the spiritual beast mountain range, full of majesty. Recommend this book to everyone, my lord in the world, it is convenient for brothers and sisters to collect it, recommend it, thank you. He brought the artifact Ancient King Cauldron from the Jushan online game system to another world, only to find that he had become a prince. It's just that this prince doesn't live up to his name, let alone practice. Fortunately, the Ancient King's Cauldron has an upgrade function, and Yugue, the road to awesomeness has begun. Deep in the Spirit Beast mountain range, in front of Hongbear Peak, Jason stood quietly. With Brat's strength, if he were here, he would definitely feel it right away. Sure enough, boom. With a huge roaring sound, a stream of flames appeared from the depths of the valley in the red mountain peak, and came to Jason. It was Brought. Jason, why did you date our spiritual beast mountain range? Brought appeared with a smile on his face. However, the next moment, he seemed to feel something, and his expression suddenly changed. Jason, you advanced to the lower level of spiritual god? How come it so quickly? Did you absorb the 5 law god chains I gave you? Brought looked at Jason with shock and anger on his face. His expression was as if something he cherished had been destroyed. That expression was full of disappointment and anger. Didn't I tell you that you can't absorb those 5 divine chains of laws? Once absorbed, you will lose the chance to become the God King. If you are like this, Brought's expression was extremely shocked and angry, and he was extremely angry. Heartbroken, you are really. How do you ask me to explain to the dead God King like this? Alas, you. Brought sighed repeatedly, and his whole person seemed to be much older in an instant, and he was already slightly pale. His face was now even more ashen. Senior Brought, you ghost. Seeing Brought's excited expression, Jason was stunned at first, and then he laughed again. You're still smiling, it's really like. Brought hated that iron could not become steel, and his whole body was shaking with anger. Senior Brought, although I have been promoted to the divine level, I have not absorbed the divine chain of laws you gave me. Jason said. At this moment, Brought was stunned. Didn't you absorb the divine chain of laws I gave you? He looked at Jason suspiciously, and at the same time, powerful spiritual consciousness immediately filled Jason's body, and with him with that powerful strength and knowledge. After feeling the fire-based killing aura that Jason exuded, he naturally saw the key to Jason becoming a god at a glance. Have you understood the secret of killing and the secret of fire? Have you become a fire spiritual god by relying on the secret of killing? Brought's eyes suddenly burst out with a bright light, and he couldn't believe it. Yeah. Jason nodded slightly. Incredible, really incredible. Brought looked at Jason and said 2 incredible things in succession. When you left me, you had just been promoted to the 9th level peak Holy Spirit Master, and your understanding of the secrets of the fire system was still very immature. Now in less than 2 years, you have completely understood the secret of killing? This speed of cultivation and breakthrough is much more genius than many peerless geniuses I have seen. Brought originally, the angry expression turned into excitement. It seems that His Majesty the God King did not choose the wrong person. Maybe one day you can really meet His Majesty the God King's requirements. Brought said with emotion. By the way, Jason, why did you come to my place? After sighing for a long time, Brought finally mentioned the question that he had wanted to ask. Senior Brought, it's like this. Immediately, Jason told the appearance of Snapshot and others. What? A god-level strongman appeared on the mainland? Brought's expression suddenly darkened. Jason nodded. Senior Harot, you once told me that because Senior Stern sealed the entire continent, the god-level powerful people in the god realm cannot enter the Stern continent. But why are there god-level people now? When a strong man appears? This time only one spiritual god appeared. I'm afraid that if a stronger enemy appears next time, then I will. Jason's expression was very solemn. It must be the one who caused the seal to be unstable last time. Reason. Brought thought for a moment and murmured, his face as gloomy as water, looking extremely ugly. He turned his gaze to Jason and said solemnly, Jason, I said that it is impossible to break through the god realm as long as the seal of the Lord is there. The seal appears in Stern Continent, but I suspect that the seal has been somewhat damaged. I am afraid that it will not be long before I can no longer protect Stern Continent. What? Jason frowned and said. You follow me. Brought didn't say anything, just waved his hand. Huh. A powerful force that was irresistible instantly enveloped Jason. This force was so powerful that under its shackles, Jason, who had become a lower-level spiritual god, was unable to move at all and was directly brought into the void. Among them. This is a weird space, with colorful power dissipating from the end of the line of sight. It is different from the void on Stern Continent. Jason has never seen such a weird void before. Knowing that cloth lot would not hurt his Jason, nor would he resist. He let Brought lead him and flew quickly towards the endless void. After a moment, at the end of the turbulent flow in the space, a mysterious space suddenly appeared. In front of Yusin. This is an extremely mysterious space, filled with five-color light, extremely gorgeous. The five-color light, in this space, formed a dense network structure, blocking, cut. And in the middle of the five-color light belt in the distance, quietly levitate and look at a five-color sacred stone. The five-color rice noodles are emanating from the five-color sacred stone. The powerful power emanating from the mysterious space, the breath and misty light made Jason open his mouth slightly, and his heart was filled with shock. Tyson, this is where His Majesty, the God King, set the seal back then. The five-color sacred stone in the middle is what His Majesty, the God King, condensed for this stern continent. The heart of the plane is the core of the seal, and those five-color rays are the nodes connecting every barrier on the continent. Through them, they control the space barriers at every location on the continent. It is precisely because of their existence that the plane barrier of the stern continent has become extremely strong, and coupled with the constraints of the supreme ink stone, the strong men in the higher plane of the god realm cannot break through the barrier and come to stern, which belongs to the lower plane. Mainland. Brought explained calmly. Wow. While Brought was explaining, the five-color sacred stone in the center suddenly trembled slightly, and the five-color sacred rainbow in the mysterious space also swayed a little. A large number of five-color light rays were constantly turbulent, as if they could break at any time. General. This is surprise showed on Jason's face. Before Jason could say anything else, a moment later, calm gradually returned to the mysterious space. Jason, you have also seen that although His Majesty, the God King, set a powerful seal at the beginning, any seal needs to be driven by energy. Now after tens of thousands of years of consumption, His Majesty, the God King's seal, has been established. The weakness of the God King, coupled with the fact that the Dark God King of the Heavenly God realm is also trying to break the seal, so the seal of His Majesty, the God King, may not be able to hold on for long. Last time, the heart of the plane was shaken, and even the five-color light linking the space barrier was also damaged a lot, but I repaired it in time. I think it was at that time that the three people broke through the barrier and came to the stern continent. Brought's eyes were full of worry. Jason's brows were also frowning, and he wondered, Lord Brought, since you can repair this seal, why not restore it completely? Huh. Brought couldn't help but smile, but his smile was full of helplessness. Although I can repair this seal, I only use my own original power to suppress its damage. I cannot completely repair it, and I was seriously injured back then, but after so many years, it still hasn't been cured. And with each repair, my original power is running low. I estimate that it won't take long, no more than 10 years at most, to be healed. The seal set by His Majesty, the King, will be completely ineffective. What? Jason stayed. 10 years. It sounds long, but for a continent, such a time is really too short. Once the seal is broken, by then, the barrier between the stern continent and the god realm will disappear. Although there are supreme rules, it is still very difficult for the powerful in the god realm to enter the stern continent, but with the methods of the Dark God King and theirs, these difficulties are nothing at all. This Jason's expression was a little dull. But fortunately you have advanced to the god level. If the seal is going to break by then, I will let you go to the god realm through the space channel to avoid this disaster. Going to the god realm? What about other people and people on this continent? What will happen to them? Will the people in the god realm let them go? Jason shook his head and said, as if asking Brought, but also asking himself. Once the seal is broken, the Dark God King Zao and their methods will destroy the entire continent, although not everyone may perish, and the continent will fall into darkness from now on, but as long as you are still alive, there is hope for everything. Brought said in a deep voice. Jason's heart was violently twitching. Will the entire continent be destroyed? He couldn't imagine such a situation. A large number of god-level powerful men came from the god realm to enslave the people on the Stern continent. The mainland has since fallen into never-ending darkness. No, I will never let such a thing happen. Jason's body trembled and he screamed silently in his heart. Lord Brought, is there really nothing we can do? Jason looked at Brought, his eyes suddenly became extremely sharp, and a strong and determined light bloomed, which shocked Brought. There is no other way. Brought shook his head. Jason's heart sank. That's not right. Suddenly, Brought seemed to have thought of something, and said loudly, as for the solution, there is still another way. What? Jason was like a drowning man grabbing a life-saving straw, and immediately spoke out. Brought's eyes looked at the heart of the plane deep in the mysterious space. The heart of the plane is the core of the seal, created by His Majesty the God King. It will be damaged, and the reason why it cannot persist is just because the energy in it is consumed. If someone can go to the heart of the face and replenish energy, the seal of His Majesty the God King will be sealed again. The Dark God King alone will, their impact in the God realm could not break the seal at all. However, the heart of the plane is located in the middle of this space. Those 5-color light rays are arranged by His Majesty the God King according to an ultimate divine formation. If you want to reach the heart of the plane, you must break through His Majesty the God King's divine formation. Otherwise, anyone who enters, even me, will be instantly wiped out once swept by the 5-color light. This is simply impossible for anyone to do. Brought shook his head as he spoke. The ultimate divine formation? Jason's eyes immediately looked towards the mysterious space. Sure enough, although these 5-color rays of light appear to be chaotic, they are actually arranged according to some unique rules. This arrangement is extremely profound, even if it is because of the inheritance of the god of war from the Tian High Sea, and has reached the level of god in formation pattern attainments. Super Jason can only peek into a corner of it and cannot grasp it at all. Senior Brought, I want to understand the formation here. There should be no problem, right? Jason suddenly turned his head and looked at Brought. Jason, are you thinking? Brought was stunned, then frowned and said. Yes, I want to break through this formation so that I can reach the heart of the plane in the middle. Jason answered affirmatively. It's impossible. Brought shook his head. His Majesty the God King's attainments in formations have reached the realm of transformation. The formations he has arranged are simply impossible to break. Moreover, even if you are really capable, to break the formation, the energy required by this heart of face is also very huge. With the strength of your lower spiritual god, it won't have much effect at all. But I want to try. Jason interrupted. Brought said firmly, because this is the only way. Looking at Jason with a determined expression, Brought was stunned. After a while, he sighed, well, since you have this intention, I can't stop you. You can practice here. If you have any requests, come to me at any time. As long as I can do it, you will definitely not do it. Say no, I hope you can succeed. Although he knew it was completely impossible, Brought still gave Jason encouragement at the end. Yeah. Jason nodded and looked at the countless 5-color lights in the mysterious space. 10 years? I will definitely break this formation. Jason gritted his teeth in his heart. Okay, Jason, I'm going back to practice first. If anything happens, just call me. Brought said. Huh. After saying everything, Brought dodged and left. The last time he repaired the heart of the plane, he consumed a lot of his original power, which caused him to still not recover. You must go back and recuperate. God of War Tower, come out. After Brought left, Jason didn't pause at all. A blue light flashed in the center of his eyebrows, and God of War Tower appeared quickly. At the same time, Jason turned into a stream of light and entered the God of War Tower. Now that time is running out, Jason has no extra time to waste. In the God of War Tower, Jason quickly appeared in the formation space. When he and Bosworth were trapped in the God's Destruction formation by Daniels on Tian High Continent, it was in this formation space that the formation was created. Only when FA comprehends it to the God level can he break through the God-destroying formation. Just after Jason's consciousness entered this mysterious space, Jason originally imagined that the space would continue to explain, but what Jason didn't expect was that a rumbling sound suddenly sounded in the space. Sounded in this endless dark space, and immediately, a majestic voice resounded in this space. Hello, my heir to the God of War of Tian Hai. When you hear this sentence, it means that you have been promoted to the God level and your understanding of the formation has reached a certain level. I leave this sentence just because I want to let you know some of the real levels of formations, so that you can position yourself more clearly. The ocean of formations is boundless, full of vastness and depth, and formations are also the most mysterious avenues in the world. The avenue has no end. Perhaps, in your previous imagination, the formation went from level formation to ninth level formation, and then until the God level. The God level is the end of the formation. So, here I want to tell you that God level formations are not the end of formations, but rather, they are just the beginning of formations. Yes, only by mastering God level formations can you be considered to be in the palace of formations. It is only the true beginning of the formation and the foundation of the formation. It is still far from being a complete one. Before the God level, we usually divided the formation into 9 levels, corresponding to the holy level. After reaching the God level, we will divide the formations into grades 1 to 7, corresponding to the lower spiritual gods, to the God Kings. All the God level formations born in this world can find the corresponding grades. Here, Jason couldn't help but feel shocked. How does this God of War of the sky and sea know the realm of the God King? Jason's eyes were full of disbelief. This Tian Hai war god, in Jason's imagination, should be the local spiritual god of the Stern Continent. Although he has unique attainments in formation table tennis and is not weak in strength, Jason does not know clearly about the Tian Hai war god. His true strength. Now, after hearing these words, Jason suddenly felt that this Tian Hai war god was not simple either. Because ordinary spiritual gods who were born in the Stern Continent should not know about such a figure as the God King. After all, in the God realm, there are only 8 God Kings, and they are the most powerful ones. In terms of specific grades, the first grade formation is the basis and corresponds to the lower spiritual god. The second grade formation corresponds to the middle spiritual god. The third grade formation corresponds to the upper spiritual god. The fourth grade formation corresponds to the starry god. The fifth grade formation corresponds to the starry god. Corresponds to the moonlight god. The sixth grade formation corresponds to the sun brilliant god, and the seventh grade formation corresponds to the God King. Among them, as long as you reach the third grade formation, you can be called a formation master, and the fourth grade formation can be called a formation master. As a grandmaster, even in the world of gods, you can become a guest of all major forces. You may not know what I mean by the lower spiritual gods, the starry gods, the world of gods, etc. Here, let me tell you first, God-level powerhouses are divided into spiritual gods, and the world of gods is a higher plane above this plane. Since you have reached the God level, you should also have rights. Understand these things. Beyond the 4th level formation, there is the 5th level formation. Such masters, even in the world of gods, cannot exceed the number of 5 fingers. As for the 6th level formation and above, except for me, the God of War of Tian Hai, there is no other one in the world of gods. What? Jason was completely shocked. From the words of Tian Hai war god, Jason felt these 2 pieces of information. The first point is that this Tian Hai war god is not a spiritual god native to Stern Continent at all. It is very likely that he comes from the heavenly god realm. The second point is that if what this Tian Hai war god said is correct, then the Stern Ancestors' formations or his attainments should not be as good as those of the heavenly sea war god. Of course, this premise is that the Tian Hai war god was born after the ancestor Stern. If the Tianhai war god appeared in the era when the ancestor Stern had not yet become the god king, then it would not be certain. Perhaps I really have hope of unraveling the formation arranged by my ancestors in this mysterious space. Hearing the Tianhai war god story, for the first time, Jason felt a little confident that he could decipher the five-color light. After hearing what Tianhai war god said, Jason's expression was slightly excited. Before, although he and Brat had strongly requested to understand the formations in this mysterious space, it was just because in the face of difficulties, Jason, who was now the lower spiritual god, had no choice but to find a breakthrough in the formations. It can be said that Jason just decided to do this with the mentality of treating a dead horse as a living horse doctor. However, after Ruchuan listened to Tianhai war god's story, Jason suddenly felt a trace of confidence in this cracking formation, just like a person walking on a dark road. Suddenly in the endless darkness, I saw a light shining in the distance. Although this light was very weak and almost inaudible, it gave people extremely great confidence. No, the Tianhai god of war's attainments in formation should be higher than those of Stern's ancestors, because he comes from the era behind his ancestors. Suddenly, Jason thought of another piece of information, and his eyes widened. It lit up. The god of war of Tianhai is a god from the ancient times of Tianhai continent. This ancient era is difficult to explore because there is no time stamp. This made Jason wonder who came first and who came last, god of war of Tianhai and his ancestor Stern, but Jason had forgotten the most important point is that the Tianhai continent already existed in the era of the Tianhai god of war, and the Tianhai continent was broken into 3 continents after the War of the Gods formed. This also shows that the Tianhai god of war appeared definitely after the Stern ancestors. Huh? Wrong? Suddenly, Jason's brows wrinkled again. After the War of the Gods, the Stern ancestors had blocked the passage between the Stern continent and the god realm, so this god of war of the sky and sea, if he is a powerful man from the god realm, how did he come to Stern continent? A new doubt arose in Jason's mind. Forget it, never mind, no matter who comes first between the god of war of Tianhai and the Stern ancestor, I just need to learn the formation well. As for other things, I don't have so much time to think about it. Jason, who couldn't figure it out, immediately I stopped thinking about it, tried to calm down my excitement, and continued to feel. Only I can arrange formations above the 6th level. Don't worry about it for now. All you need to do now is to understand the most basic level formation. Remember, level formation is the foundation. Only by thoroughly understanding the first-grade formations can we continue to comprehend upwards. The more first-grade formations we understand, the greater our achievements will be in the future. On the contrary, even if you reach the 2nd-grade formation very quickly at first, the 3rd-level realm, because of going astray, will stagnate here for life, unable to continue to improve. There are so many formation masters in the god realm, and the reason why no one can reach my height is precisely because they have gone astray. High-quality formations and low-quality formations complement each other. Any high-quality formation is constructed from a large amount of basic knowledge of low-quality formations. The foundation is the most important. You must remember stay. Jason remembered these words. At the same time, he also had some insights in his heart. To put it more carefully, formations and elixir science have something in common. In elixir science, as the level increases, the preparation process may become more and more complicated and difficult, but after reaching the level of elixir science, after reaching the saint level, those dazzling techniques and unique techniques no longer seem so important. What can really determine the success or failure of a preparation is precisely the most basic things. Okay, let me stop here about the classification of formations. In this formation space, there are a large number of formations that I have mastered. Each formation has my explanation. My heir, since you after getting the God of War Tower, I also hope that on the road to formation, you can reach the heights you once were, and even surpass me. Work hard, my heir. After saying this, the voice of the god of war of Tianhai gradually became weaker. Go down, and finally disappear completely. 7th level formation? Standing quietly in the formation space, Jason was silent for a moment. Then, he suddenly raised his head and seemed to be looking at the mysterious space outside the God of War tower. I don't know what grade this formation arranged by Ancestor Stern is. With Jason's eyesight, it is impossible to tell what grade the formation arranged by Stern is. Forget it, why do you care so much, just study hard and practice. Immediately, Jason no longer thought about it, but his consciousness fell into the formation space again. Boom! In the dark inheritance space, a huge roar sounded, and immediately, an extremely dazzling light lit up, and stars all over the sky appeared densely in front of Jason. These star points in the sky became brighter and brighter, and finally turned into mysterious grooves, like living creatures, constantly flickering and flowing in the void. A god-level formation pattern recorded in the 800 volumes of Formation Tao appeared in front of Jason, and he slowly explained it at the same time. Jason, on the other hand, was completely immersed in it and became enlightened. Time flowed like Jason was completely immersed in it, almost cut off from the outside world. In the formation space of the God of War Tower, Jason has been concentrating on studying the 800 volumes of formations. This 800 volumes of formations records all the formations of the Tianhai God of War. Jason did not browse casually, but concentrated on studying each formation in detail. Study and understand. At the beginning, Jason understood the formation from level to god level outside the God's Destruction Valley. At that time, in order to break through the God's Destruction formation, he did not delve into the knowledge of many formations, but just understood got it, that's it, and after his attainments in formations reached the God level, when the God of War Tianhai explained the first God Destruction formation, he didn't fully grasp it, but after understanding how to break the God Destruction formation, he just left the formation space and broke through the Divine Destruction formation. But now, Jason did not learn all the formations in order to continuously improve his strength. Instead, he learned from the most basic ones and worked hard. In the blink of an eye, 3 years have passed. In the past 3 years, Jason has finally read every formation in the 800 volumes of formations 6 times from beginning to end. This reading is not about reading them wholeheartedly, but reading every formation. The legal restrictions are completely understood. Jason put away the last formation and let out a long sigh of relief. Jason felt like he was swimming in the endless night sky, and in the night sky, the stars all over the sky were each a formation. Jason was in the night sky of this formation, constantly studying each stars. Now, Jason has finally understood all the stars, but Jason has a feeling that all the formations listed in the 800 volumes of formations are just fragments in the endless night sky. It's just a region, it doesn't represent the entire night sky. The formation path is too complex and extensive, and it is really difficult to fully understand and control it. But, at least, starting from today, I can start learning the second level formation. Jason's expression was a little excited. If the first grade formation is the stars, then the second grade, third grade, and fourth grade formations are a constellation, a nebula, and a galaxy. Each constellation is composed of many stars, and the nebula is even more, it is huge, and the number of stars it holds is even greater. This is the same as the relationship between formations. A large number of high-grade formations constitute complex high-grade formations. If a person can completely understand the high-grade formations, he can understand high-grade formations. This is also the meaning of what Tianhai War God said. On the periphery of the mysterious space, outside the God of War Tower, Jason's figure suddenly appeared. In his sight, densely packed 5-color rays of light were constantly entangled and intertwined to form complex patterns. Although he still knows nothing about the formations of these 5-color rays, in the past 3 years, because he has learned a lot of formations, Jason has a little understanding of these 5-color rays. In Jason's eyes, although these 5-color rays are extremely complex, they are also composed of a large number of formations. Jason already has a sudden feeling about the parts of these 5-color rays. If these 5-color rays of light could be decomposed into the most basic high-grade formation state, Jason could even crack them one by one. However, high-grade formations are high-grade formations after all. When combined, they still make Jason was helpless and couldn't see the slightest clue. It's been 3 years, it's time to go back. In the past 3 years, Jason has been studying outside this mysterious space. Except for occasionally communicating with everyone in the Elixir Master Tower through spiritual communication, he has never gone out. This time, Jason decided to go out. In 3 years, the continent has changed too much. Many territories have been conquered by forces such as the Spirit Medicine Master Tower. Of course, some forces are still resisting, but it is only a matter of time before they are annexed. Everyone in the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower has also made breakthroughs to varying degrees. The only thing that makes Jason regretful is that in 3 years, no god-level strongman has appeared, even Lon, who is the fastest in cultivation besides Jason. Gusen is only at the limit of demigods, still a little short of the god level, and needs to break through. 3 days later, Jason returned to the mainland and came outside the mysterious space again. From today onwards, I will comprehend the second grade formation. Immediately, Jason directly entered the God of War Tower and began to comprehend the second grade formation. Time is like running water, in the blink of an eye, 2 years have passed. All second grade formations, I have finally studied all the formations and understood them thoroughly. From now on, I will understand the third level formations. This time it only took 2 years for Jason to fully understand all the second grade formations, but there was no joy on Jason's face. In the past 5 years, the heart of the plane has appeared twice more. The movements were all suppressed by brought in time, but everything indicated that time was running out. Another 2 years passed, and Jason finally comprehended all the third-level formations and began to comprehend the fourth-level formations. Here comes the formation. Sorry, it's just a chapter today. I'll give you my third update tomorrow. Originally, after seeing a doctor at the Provincial People's Hospital last time and taking medicine continuously, the tinnitus was slightly better, but I don't know what happened in the past 2 days. The problem has started to get worse again. I am very irritable and always have insomnia. I will go to the Provincial Traditional Chinese Medicine Hospital on Monday to see if traditional Chinese medicine will be effective. Come on. When Jason was meditating on the leaves of the 4th grade formation outside the mysterious sky Spiritual Medicine Master Tower. On the Huashan Island under the turbulent spiritual sea, the violent aura of Yuan Jin spread. These abundant spiritual auras were in the 9 spirits. Under the transformation of the Qi gathering formation, it turned into a rich spirit of elixir, which was absorbed by the large number of high-level elixirs in the medicine field. 7 years have passed, and now in the medicine field of Huashan Island, the elixirs planted in the outermost part they are all 8th-level Emperor-level elixirs, exuding an astonishing Emperor-level aura. The number is staggering, and in the center of the medicine field, a large number of strange elixirs exuding terrifying holy power are densely planted. Each of these elixirs is extremely noble. They are swaying in the medicine field. The breath of various elixirs rises from each elixir, forming a pair of strange patterns. There are green dragons roaring and fire. The phoenix is singing, birds and beasts, unicorns and cranes, and all kinds of noble medicinal qi, forming a strange scene of all the beasts singing together. Although these medicinal qi exudes holy power and are 9th-level holy medicines, there are also levels among holy medicines. Powerful elixirs are located in the center, while some elixirs that have just been promoted to 9th-level holy medicines can only emit medicinal energy on the periphery. The picture formed by this is also there are differences. However, these holy medicines are not the most precious. In the core of the medicine field, there are some strange elixirs growing. Each of these elixirs is vivid and exudes a touch of divine power, as if they were alive, very ghostly, and could even move in this medicine field. Wherever they passed, all the emperor-level and saint-level elixirs retreated one after another as if the ministers had met their king. Come. However, these more than 10 plants exude a faint divine power and seem to have lifelike elixirs. No matter where they move, they always worship towards the center, where a tall holy plant, the shadow of the tree, swayed, exuding terrifying divine power. This sacred shadow was very plain, but it was like the god of medicine, attracting all the elixirs around to worship. Almost 3 people in this 9-spirit energy gathering array, 2/3 of the spiritual energy was absorbed by it, transformed into the most basic spiritual power, and absorbed by it. And under the shadow of the holy tree, a woman wearing a blue robe sat cross-legged. Her appearance was absolutely beautiful. The aura is solemn and sacred. It is the blue moon Gusen. Rumble. Suddenly, a huge roar sounded in the sky of Huashan Island, and an ancient and vast will suddenly appeared in the sky above the turbulent spiritual sea. This pressure was so terrifying that it seemed to represent the inkstone that circulates the heaven and earth. Any power and breath are so fragile in front of it. The terrifying pressure spread down, instantly affecting the god transformation island below. Hua. The endless medicinal energy dispersed, and Lan Yu Gusen, who was practicing with her eyes closed, suddenly opened her eyes, raised her head, and 2 cyan rainbows burst out from her eyes, looking towards the endless sky. On the sky above the island of God, the divine power of the dark system is like a raging wave, constantly rising and rolling, bringing the pressure of the avenue. After 7 years, Cassianus has finally become powerful. The corner of Lan Yu Gusen's mouth was outlined with a faint smile, but his eyes looked a little lonely under this smile. 7 years have passed since Jason went to the Spirit Beast mountain range. Today, Lan Yu Gusen has been there for 3 years, as early as 3 years ago. Before that, he completely absorbed the water law divine chain that Jason gave him and became a water spiritual god. At the moment when he became a god, everything about Lan Yu Gusen became spiritual power. The ocean, and what Lan Yu Gusen did not expect was that in addition to the spiritual power of the water system, when she became a god, the world was filled with an astonishing spirit of elixirs. These elixirs were extremely noble, all of which were inhaled into her body. Among them, a very weak thread escaped and floated into the 9 spirits chi gathering formation, which caused a mutation. Among them, there were more than 10 strains of the 9th level peak holy medicine. In this thread of elixir, under the influence of the chi, an astonishing change occurred. The holy power that was originally exuded turned into divine power. At the same time, Lan Yu Gusen suddenly had a strange idea in her mind. This idea made her being able to communicate with all elixirs and plants in this world. All the elixirs and plants in this world give Lan Yu Gusen the feeling of being her friends, very kind. What makes Lan Yu Gusen even more unbelievable is that, after she became a god, she guessed that there was a strange holy tree growing there in the sky above the sea of spirits in her mind, taking root in her spiritual sea. From this holy lining of spiritual communication, Lan Yu Gusen obtained some incomparable mysteries. The secret method inheritance, these secret method inheritance, seem to be tailor-made for him. Lan Yu Gusen does not need to practice much at all. He can instinctively display and use it. However, the improvement in strength does not make Lan Yu Gusen feel happy. The emergence of this holy tree has made Lan Yu Gusen even more doubtful about his life experience. At the same time, in the past 7 years, Jason has been practicing in the Spirit Beast mountain range. He only came back for 3 days 4 years ago, allowing Lan Yu Gusen to. Yu Gusen's heart was filled with loneliness. In the 9 spirits gathering formation, the mushroom moon ancient forest rose into the sky and came to the endless sky. In the sky, the master of Bispham Tower and others had already arrived during this period. Looking not far away, Cassianus, who was transforming into a god, his face was full of emotion. Lan Yu Gusen, you are here. Seeing Lan Yu Gusen, the master of Bispham Tower immediately laughed. Lord Tower Master, everyone. Lan Yu Gusen smiled slightly at everyone. After Cassianus became a god, our stern continent now has 5 god-level powerhouses. Although Jason's disciples Archimedes and Loken are still, I have not yet become a god, but I have reached the limit of demigod. I think it won't be long before I reach the level of God. Seeing you young people become gods one by one, we old guys are really ashamed. The master of Bispham Tower couldn't help but sigh. In the past 7 years, as Jason, Blue Moon, Goosen, Renaud, Yulia, Cassinus have become gods, there are already many people on the continent. There were 5 god-level experts. Of course, Master Bispham Tower and others naturally did not stop practicing, and they all reached the demigod peak from the 9th level peak. However, despite this, they all became successful in Blue Moon Goosen. In front of God, masters of the Bispham Tower and the older generation of strong men still felt tremendous pressure. Lord Tower Master, everyone. Time passed, and finally after a moment, the pressure of Yuan Jin's avenue and the supreme inkstone dispersed, and Cassinus flew over with joy. On his body, waves of dark energy surged, giving people endless pressure. Haha, Cassinus has become a god. Today, our elixir tower will have a good celebration. Bispham laughed. Yes, have a good celebration. By the way, Cassinus, when will you propose to Monica? Someone suddenly said in the crowd. During the genius trial, Cassinus and Monica had a slight affection for each other, but because they were always in crisis, no one on either side thought about the love between children. Years ago, the mainland was peaceful. Cassinus and Monica, who had been practicing in the spirit medicine master tower, came and went and had a lot of good feelings. These scenes were also seen by everyone. Haha, yes, Cassinus, when will you propose to Monica? Someone laughed again. Cassinus, who had just been promoted to the god level and was extremely excited, suddenly blushed, and Monica was embarrassed to hide behind her master Leona. Okay, everyone just stop making fun of the 2 juniors. Leona, who was eager to protect her disciples, said with a smile on her face. What do you mean by teasing? We can't wait to drink the wedding wine. Edmas also joined in the fun. Yes, look, Cassinus's face turned red. Now I know, it turns out that god-level powerful people can also blush. Casper even teased. Haha. Casper's words made everyone burst out laughing. Cassis, you are not young anymore. It's time to think about the relationship between your children. At this moment, the master of Bispham Tower said with a smile. He had always seen the relationship between Cassinus and Monica, 2 juniors, and he also agreed with it deep in his heart. The scene, everyone fell silent at this moment, looking at Cassinus with a smile. And Monica, who was hiding behind Leona, shyly stuck out her head and looked at Cassinus with deep eyes. But it was full of expectation. Feeling everyone's eyes, Cassinus immediately flew to Monica and took her hand. Monica, Cassinus is extremely tender. Looking at the other person, you know, I like you. Monica Biggio's face turned red to the back of her neck. Oh. Edmes and others cheered. Cassinus looked at Monica solemnly and said, I can't propose to you now. When these words came out, the originally noisy scene fell silent. Everyone looked at Cassinus in disbelief, and Monica couldn't help but shake her body. She lowered her head because of shyness. But he raised it suddenly and looked at Cassinus intently. Monica, you also know that my life was saved by Jason. Everything I have was given by Jason, so, a long time ago, I made up my mind in my heart that after avenging my family, my life would be Jason's. Jason is not here now, so I can't propose to you yet, because our witness cannot be without him. When he comes back, I will propose to you in front of him and in front of your master, Ching. Please marry me. Cassinus looked at Monica and spoke affectionately. Yeah. Monica fell into the arms of Cassinus, and tears rolled down from the corners of her eyes. Jason, note guy, what have you been doing this year? Everyone couldn't help but look at the Spirit Beast mountain range in the west of the mainland and murmured. Regarding the matter of the heart of the plain, in order not to let BZFAMU and the others were worried that Jason did not explain to everyone. He just said that he was practicing in the spiritual beast mountain range, which made Basfamu and others filled with doubts. Spiritual beast mountain range, Jason, these years have you been with Claire all this time? I don't know why, at this moment, Lan Yugusan felt an inexplicable pain in his heart. Looking at Cassinus and Monica who were hugging tightly, Lan Yugusan's lonely eyes were a little crazy. Because Cassinus, when C became a god, a grand banquet was held in the Medicine Master Tower. The entire disciples of the Medicine Master Tower went crazy for a whole day. After the celebration, the banquet ended slowly, everything returned to calm, and the sun hands were covered. The normal track was broken. Time flowed by quietly like running water. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed again. In the territory of chaos, on a plain outside the city of chaos. Rumble. A deafening roar resounded, the vast divine power descended, and the endless earth elements surged like waves, covering the sky. In the vast earth element divine power, a man wearing a yellow-brown robe was floating in it, accepting the transformation in his body. On the periphery of this vast divine power, the endless earth-type divine power, 3 figures exuding a terrifying aura stood there proudly, with smiles on their faces. Lokusi, 1 month after you became a man, your senior brother also became a man. God. Among them, a man wearing a golden robe and carrying a golden giant sword said with a faint smile. Yes, it would be great if the master was here. He would be very happy to see us become gods. Lokuan had a pure smile on his face. The last time I saw Master was 5 years ago. Moreover, Master only stayed in the territory of chaos for 1 day and then left. Jason must have important things to do when he has been staying in the spiritual beast mountains for these years. I know that the burden on him is really too heavy. Reno sighed. As the inheritor of God-killing Nadim, Reno, who can communicate with fears, the guardian of Jintong Palace, knows a lot more inside information than the master of Bisfam Tower. Renault, don't worry, I believe that no matter what happens, Jason will complete it perfectly. Besides, Yulia glanced at Renault, and held his right hand tightly with her left hand. Yes, Jason has never let us down in these years. I'm just worried that the burden on him is too heavy. But now, we have become more powerful one after another. I hope we can lighten his burden. Reno shook his head and spoke. Although his expression was helpless, his voice was filled with incomparable determination. At the same time, in the Spirit Beast mountain range, in front of the mysterious space, Jason looked at the large amount of 5-color light in front of him, with a trace of expression on his face. In front of him, a large number of 5-color lights continued to linger, forming complex and shocking pictures. Finally, I can see clearly many structures of these 5-color lights. Jason murmured at the corner of his mouth, looking quite excited. In the past 6 months, Jason has continued to understand the 4th-level formations. In the formation space, each 4th-level formation was explained by Tianhai War God, clearly appeared in Jason's mind. After half a year of study, Jason also had a lot of understanding of the structure of this 4th-level formation. So, after just gaining experience, Jason came out. He went to the God of War Tower and observed these 5-color rays of light. His move was not to crack the formation, but to try and see if he could observe anything. Originally, he could only comprehend the 3rd-level formation. Although Jason has some understanding of those 5-color rays of light, he can only peek into them occasionally. Most of the places in front of Jason's eyes are covered with fog, making it difficult to see clearly. But now, on the 4 sides, Jason, after understanding the formation method, Jason finally discovered that he could actually see 70% of the structure and distribution of the 5-color light clearly, while the remaining 30% was still confused. It seems that the ceiling formation arranged by Ancestor Stern back then should be a 5th-grade formation. Jason immediately had an understanding of the formation arranged by Stern. With Jason's current strength, if it is a 4th-grade formation, although Jason has not yet fully understood the 4th-grade formation, but at least 90% should be able to see clearly. Of course, seeing clearly does not mean that it can be cracked. And now, Jason can see 70% of these 5-color lights clearly, which means that these 5-color lights, the level of the formation formed by the light, should be above Jason's level now. In that case, I will continue to comprehend until I can see the 5 colors of light and gold clearly. The next moment, Jason entered the formation space again and understood the formation. Time is like an arrow, time flies, and another year has passed in the blink of an eye. Now is Jason's 9th year of understanding the formation. In the space, Jason sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. In front of his eyes, formation patterns continued to emerge, and each pattern appeared clearly in front of Jason. Previously, Jason was meditating on when he was studying the 2nd and 3rd grade formations. He basically didn't encounter any difficulties. With Jason's powerful comprehension ability, Jason solved some difficulties one after another. But now when he understood the 4th grade formations, we have encountered difficulties. In the world of gods, if you reach the 3rd level formation realm, you can be called a master of formations, and if you reach the 4th level formation realm, you are considered a formation master. The 4th level formations are equivalent to Xingyao. In the realm of gods, Jason is now the lower spiritual god. Although he is extremely talented, he still encounters difficulties. At this speed, who knows how long it will take to fully understand all the 4-level formations. Jason was a little anxious. He himself had no skills. Unlike the previous 3rd grade formations, Jason would feel more and more comfortable with them as he practiced. But with these 4th grade formations, the more Jason understood them, the better they became. The more I feel the vastness and complexity of the profound meaning of the formation. There is no way. If I want to reach the heart of the plane, I must break through the 5-color light. I don't have much time, so I can only comprehend it as quickly as possible. Jason gritted his teeth and continued to comprehend. Time passed, and today, Jason was comprehending in the formation space. Rumble. Suddenly, a huge vibration appeared in Jason's perception. In an instant, Jason felt that the God of War tower where he was shaking constantly, and the orchid stalk rushed towards and spread through the God of War tower. Jason, who had closed his eyes in realization, was suddenly awakened. What's wrong? What happened? Jason's figure suddenly disappeared from the formation space and appeared outside the mysterious space. In front of Jason, the 5-color divine stone in the center of the mysterious space was constantly trembling, and the 5-color divine rainbow in the entire space was also constantly rioting. Cyclones of 5 colors are blowing through this mysterious space. A large number of 5-color lights are constantly shaking, and there is a possibility of collapse at any time. During the 9 years in this mysterious space, Jason had also seen some changes in this mysterious space, which were all suppressed by Fonrot. However, those changes were extremely slight, and they had never been like this moment. So terrifying. Huh. Next to Jason, Brat's figure condensed. After seeing the situation in front of him, Brat's expression changed. Boom. Without any hesitation, a fiery red breath rushed out from Brat's body. Above his head, a flame dragon appeared in a circle, and its terrifying body filled the entire space. Go! Countless fiery red auras burst out from Brat's body, sinking into the 5-color divine stone like lightning. In the past, there have been such abnormal movements, but under normal circumstances, under Brat's suppression, these abnormal movements will disappear instantly. But this time, it is different. There are continuous fiery red rays of light. It penetrated into the 5-color sacred stone, but the whole space was still shaking. Pfft. Blood spurted out from Brat's mouth, his face slumped, and he looked extremely pale. Senior Brat. Jason said nervously. Brat's expression looked extremely ugly. No, I can't suppress this movement of the heart of the plane. The seal set by the adult's back, then, is about to break. This, his face suddenly turned pale. Senior Brat, is there no other way? Jason said solemnly. Brat shook his head helplessly, with a hint of despair in his tone. No, unless someone can reach the heart of the plane and directly infuse energy into it. Have you reached the heart of the plane? Jason looked silent. The next moment, his eyes suddenly showed determination. Senior Brat, if that's the case, let me go. Brat said anxiously, no, Jason, are you crazy? The heart of the plane is shaking now. Once you are swept by the five-color light, we'll be completely wiped out. We can't control that much. Once the heart of the plane is broken, the barrier between our stern continent and the god realm will be completely opened. By then, the entire continent will face a disaster. I absolutely cannot allow such a thing to happen. Jason's expression was extremely determined. He was originally planning to wait until he had fully understood the formation of the five-color light and gained confidence before going in, but now that the situation was in crisis, he could no longer control so much. Seeing what Brat wanted to say, Jason waved his hand directly. Senior Brat, there's no need to say anything, I'm going. The next moment, without any hesitation, Jason put the God of War tower between his eyebrows and stepped directly into the shaking mysterious space. Jason. Brat gritted his teeth, looked at the direction where Jason disappeared, and clenched his fists. In that case, I will temporarily stabilize this space for you. You must succeed. Brat cried silently in his heart. Give it to me. The next moment, Brat's expression became extremely crazy and he shouted angrily. Boom! As Brat roared, a huge flame dragon appeared above his head again, and the powerful pressure spread across the 9 heavens and 10 places. Powerful fire power, like countless fire dragons, came from Brat, surged out of his body and entered the heart of the face. The mysterious space that was originally shaking crazily finally calmed down slightly with Brat's desperate support. Streams of fire-based power continuously flowed out of Brat's body and entered the heart of the plane, maintaining the stability of the heart of the plane. In the mysterious space, Jason stepped out, everything in the world changed, and the stars moved, and Jason suddenly appeared in the vast starry sky. This starry sky is not a dark night sky, but is filled with colorful divine power. The 5-colored light strips, like silk, are constantly floating and surging in the void. Jason knew that he had entered the formation composed of these 5 colors of light, and everything that appeared in front of him was transformed by the formation. Of course, these illusions are not very difficult for Jason, who has already understood the 4th grade formation. After all, when Chase Stern set up this seal, it was just to seal the barrier between Stern Continent and the God Realm. Therefore, this 5th grade formation can only be regarded as a defensive formation, not a fantasy formation. Other types of formations such as trap formations and attack types. This is also the reason why Jason dared to enter this 5th level formation with his attainments in the 4th level formation. It is far easier to break through the formation than to establish it. This 5th level formation itself does not have any ability to attack or trap people. It is just that these 5-color rays of light connecting the plane of the gods have the ability to annihilate the powerful gods, will be dangerous. If this formation is a 5th grade attack formation, with Jason's strength as a 4th grade formation mage, if he really wants to enter, I'm afraid Jason will be instantly wiped out by the terrifying attack of the 5th grade formation. In the endless void, Jason began to fly forward. Every step he takes is extremely cautious, the calculations in his mind are running to the extreme, and he carefully observes everything around him. Everything Jason has learned in the formation space in the past 10 years has been exerted by him. To the extreme, carefully identify everything in front of you. He did not dare to make a wrong step. Any mistake would be fatal. If he failed this time, not only would he fall, but the entire continent would also face a disaster. So Jason must not fail. While Jason continued to move forward in the endless void, outside the mysterious space, Brat continued to consume his original power and frantically suppressed the abnormal movements of the heart of the plane. In Brat's eyes, after Jason entered the mysterious space, he kept moving forward. A large amount of 5-color light continued to linger around Jason, and it seemed that it might touch Jason's body at any time. Lot was frightened all over. But the good thing is that although Jason looks extremely dangerous, every time the 5-color light is about to contact him, he is able to compare it in time. At the same time, while Jason is dodging, he is also in this mysterious space. He kept moving forward, and in a moment, he had already advanced about 1/10 of the way. This Jason has such high attainments in formations. With Brat's eyes, he could naturally see how extraordinary Jason was. Every time Jason dodges the 5-color light, it looks like luck, but in fact, it can only be done after he has a thorough understanding of the battle method. If Brat is allowed to enter this mysterious space, even if he is not strong enough, Brat was countless times more powerful than Jason. At this moment, he was probably hit by the 5-color light and wiped out. Brat just watched Jason go deeper and deeper, while trying his best to prevent the mysterious space from collapsing. Ahem. As time passed, a trace of blood spilled from the corner of Brat's mouth. His body was constantly shaking due to the large amount of consumption of his original power, and his entire face became extremely pale. Boom. The mysterious space that was originally occupied by Brat began to shake again, and Brat's face instantly became extremely ugly. Because of the shaking of the mysterious space, a large number of 5-color light rays in the space dance crazily and do not follow the current rules. Originally, this formation was extremely difficult, and it was difficult for Jason to enter the depths. Under the crazy dance of the 5-color light rays, Jason, it is even more difficult to move forward. Jason, come on. Brat, who was outside the space, could only silently support Jason in his heart at this moment. In fact, Jason, who was in the endless starry sky, did encounter difficulties. Although this formation is only a defensive formation, not a trap formation, illusion formation, or attack formation, in terms of formation attainments, Jason, who has not fully understood even the 4th-grade formations, still encountered a little bit of difficulty came. However, there was no thought of retreating in Jason's heart. His eyes were sharp, and wherever his eyes passed, his mind was running wildly. Jason was actually moving forward while using his powerful talent. Studying and comprehending this mysterious formation. I see. The formation pattern here actually plays such a role. Is this the difference between the 4th-grade formation and the 5th-grade formation? The 5th-grade formation is indeed better than the 4th-grade formation. The formations are too profound. Jason understood as he walked, and after encountering problems, he felt calmer. Instead, he used his powerful talent to solve several problems in a row. Time passed slowly, and Jason finally arrived at 1/10 of the point in the heart of the face. Now, several hours have passed since Jason entered the formation. In the mysterious space, the heart of the plane is constantly shaking, and a large number of 5-color rainbows are skyrocketing. Brat can no longer support it. Jason also encountered a problem. Around the heart of Noodles, a large number of 5-color rays of light were densely packed. It was several times denser than the places Jason had passed by before. It was the core of this 5th-level formation. With Jason's attainments, he immediately encountered difficulties. What should I do? Jason was anxious. If he wanted to pass this area, he could only fully understand it. But time was running out. Jason, who was in the formation, could pass through the crazy surging 5 colors. Guanghong judged that the heart of the face was about to reach the edge of shattering, and there was not enough time. What should I do? Do I still have to fall short after getting here? Jason's heart was filled with deep reluctance. No. He shook his head vigorously, with a hint of determination in his eyes. What he was deciding at this moment was not his own fate, but the fate of countless people across the continent. He would never allow himself to give up. No matter, I only have the last 10th left, so I'll give it a try. Jason gritted his teeth, and a fierce look flashed in his eyes. Whoosh! Jason's figure suddenly broke into the last section of 5-color light. He rushed directly through those places that could be understood by him. He rushed directly through those places that could not be penetrated by him. After forcing his way in, Jason could only rely on luck at this point. I believe God will never destroy our stern continent. Jason gritted his teeth, his eyes crazy. Outside the mysterious space, Brought, who was struggling to hold on, was shocked when he saw Jason's actions. Jason was like a reckless man, charging into a large number of five-color lights without any scruples, and outside the mysterious space the only thing Brought could do was to try his best to stabilize the trajectory of the five-color light for Jason and prevent him from going berserk. However, at this point, Brought could no longer hold on. He gritted his teeth and blood continued to flow from the corners of his mouth. For the sake of the entire continent, Jason and Brought both gave up their lives and tried their best. At this moment, Jason is like a dancer dancing on the tip of a knife. If he is not careful, he is very likely to die under a sudden black air flow. It's close, the huge heart of the plane is already in front of you. Jason suppressed the excitement in his heart, and his body rushed through the five-color light. Although he did not understand the patterns arranged by these five-color light, but Jason still used his spiritual consciousness to calculate their trajectories and directions of movement crazily. At this moment, Jason showed all his knowledge in spiritual medicine. The data flow of spiritual medicine can help him calculate, and the technical flow of spiritual medicine can help him. Jason's body makes various movements to avoid the five-color rays of light. The spiritual consciousness and spiritual medicine can predict the movement direction of the five-color light through powerful spiritual consciousness. As for the formation of spiritual medicine, let alone understand it directly from the source. Those five-color rays of light. A five-color ray of light suddenly appeared next to Jason. Jason ducked, and his waist suddenly became a guide, and he was able to avoid it. Two black airflows quietly appeared on both sides of Jason, but Jason he observed their movements extremely keenly, accelerated, and passed the limit. Along the way, Jason almost swam back and forth between life and death. If he were not careful, he might disappear. Hang! Finally, under Jason's madness, Jason miraculously came to the face heart. Did it succeed? There was a hint of surprise in Jason's heart. However, before the joy on his face bloomed, at this moment, one by one, call out. Call out. Countless five-color rays of light suddenly appeared around the heart of face. These five-color rays of light were densely packed, like a giant net, covering Jason. Its over Jason's face was full of horror. In such a short and small space, he couldn't make any effective movements at all. And when Jason was in crisis, outside the mysterious space, Brought could no longer hold on, and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. The original power that originally maintained the stability of the space retreated instantly due to Brought's loss of control. Caca. Without Torret's support, many of the five-colored rays of light connected to the heart of the plane began to break. The space barrier between the God realm and stern continent began to break. Failed. Brought's expression was pale, with despair in his eyes. However, in front of the heart of the plane, Jason's heart showed ecstasy, because Brought's time and space, the five-color network-like light in front of him, actually shattered at the moment it was about to touch him. Come on, reveal a hole. As for Jason, he just flashed out of the hole and truly arrived in front of the heart of the plane. Shoo! At this moment, Jason entered a world of five colors. What appeared in front of him was a five-color sacred stone with a diameter of dozens of feet. It was like a huge gem inlaid in the stone. In the void of the incontinent plane, rich and powerful power of the five elements emanated. These rich powers of the five elements spread crazily and penetrated into Jason's body, making him feel an extremely comfortable feeling. With such a strong power of the five elements, if he could practice here, Jason believed that his cultivation speed would be hundreds of times faster than the outside world. But now Jason can no longer care so much, because in front of him, the five-color sacred stone embedded in the void of the stern continent plane is constantly trembling, exuding an aura of ruin and destruction. Jason looked back. In the mysterious space, a large number of five-color divine rainbows rioted, and countless five-color rays of light broke off one after another. The entire plane barrier of stern continent shook under this huge impact. I rushed through this mysterious space and came to the heart of the plane. The plan was only half successful. There is still the most critical thing. I don't know if it can be completed. Jason's expression was solemn. The next step for him was to give up his position. The heart of face was infused with energy to stabilize it again, sealing the barrier between stern continent and the god realm. This step is extremely difficult. The energy required by the heart of the plane is too violent. You must know that even a person as powerful as Brought can only simply relax the heart of the plane by consuming his original power. Collapse. Now that the heart of the plane has reached the final moment of destruction, Brought is powerless, and Jason wants to stabilize it again, which is as difficult as climbing to the sky. It is very possible that during the process of instilling divine power into Jason, instead of being able to restabilize the plane's heart, Jason died because he exhausted his true energy. No matter what, I have to give it a try. The 5-color light has broken. If we don't take action, the mainland will be in danger. The rich power of the 5 elements radiated from the heart of the plane made Jason's state reach the peak at this moment. In the most perfect state, his eyes were sharp and he had made up his mind in an instant. Heart of the plane, you were condensed by the ancestor Stern back then, in order to prevent the strong men from the god realm from attacking our stern continent. As the descendant and successor of the ancestor, as a member of the stern continent, for the sake of all my relatives and friends on stern continent, and for the people of the entire continent, please recover again. Jason murmured, and then took action brazenly. Buzz. Jason completely activated the 5 elements of divine power in his body, and put a palm against the trembling heart of the plane. Under the operation of the spirit god Ard, the 5 elements of divine power in Jason's body instantly entered the plane continuously. Heart. In an instant, the 5 elements of divine power in Jason's body were transported out like a flood that broke a dam. In an instant, Jason felt an emptiness in his body, and almost all the 5 elements of divine power were drained away. As a lower spiritual god, Jason is extremely powerful. As early as 10 years ago, he was able to kill peak lower spiritual gods like Snapshot when he first entered the realm of lower spiritual gods. In these 10 years, over time, although Jason devoted himself wholeheartedly to the study of formations, his understanding and cultivation of the laws in his body never stopped, and his strength has also made great breakthroughs in these years. Especially, the 5 elements of divine power in Jason's body are at least 10 times more than when he just broke through to the lower spiritual god. It can be said that the 5 elements of divine power in Jason's body are very powerful and long-lasting. The continuous delivery of the 5 elements of divine power can last for days and nights without any problem. In other words, Jason can maintain his full strength and fight with a strong man for several days. The 5 elements of divine power in Tianjai's body will not be exhausted, but the heart of the plane is too powerful and requires too much energy, making Jason unable to support it for a moment. In just a moment, Jason, who had completely exhausted the 5 elements of divine power in his body, felt bursts of severe pain transmitted through his meridians. The pain was so intense that Jason couldn't help but scream in pain, but that person in the heart of the face, there was still a huge suction force, which seemed to be sucking Jason's whole body into it. At the same time, as a lower spiritual god, the 5 elements of divine power instilled into the heart of the plane are a drop in the bucket compared to the broken heart of the plane. The heart of the plane, which was shaking constantly and began to be broken, has not improved. The trend of "Is there really no hope?" At this moment, the severe pain in his meridians was no longer important to Jason. Outside the mysterious space, Brought, who had almost exhausted all his strength, looked pale, with blood on the corner of his mouth, looking forward to Jason, who was looking forward to the heart of the plane. When he saw Jason pressing his hand against the heart of the plane, after seeing no movement and Jason's expression of pain and despair, Brought, who originally had a glimmer of hope in his heart, felt his heart sink. Is it really not possible? Brought's face was bitter. and his body curled up in pain. In front of the heart of the plane. Buzz. At this critical moment, the strange black power that had been brewing for more than 10 years in Jason's body suddenly began to flow, following Jason's meridians and entering the face's heart. This black weird power is the power generated every time Jason uses the spiritual god art. In the past 10 years, Jason has not experienced a single battle, so the black weird power accumulated in his body has also accumulated a lot. Small amount. An incredible scene happened for Jason. At the moment when this strange black power entered the heart of the plane, the whole heart of the plane shook violently. This kind of vibration was not a shake of ruin, but like a hungry man in the desert who saw a steamed bun. Like cold water, it was a joyful feeling. At the same time, Jason also felt that some kind of strange seal seemed to be activated in the heart of the face. Buzz. In an instant, the entire heart of the plane bloomed with a dazzling 5-color divine light. The intense light illuminated the entire mysterious space and the entire void. What's going on? Jason's eyes suddenly widened, with surprise in his eyes. Although he didn't understand what happened, Jason could feel that the heart of the plane, which was starting to decay, had a feeling of being fully awakened. At the same time, as the heart of the plane emitted a dazzling rainbow of light, a huge force of the 5 elements also rushed into Jason's body in front of the heart of the plane. Buzz. 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 At this moment, the 5-element spirit pearl above Jason's spiritual sea began to move crazily, so powerfully that it could almost destroy Jason's meridians instantly. The power of the 5 elements fiercely entered the 5-element spirit pearl in Jason's spiritual sea. The 5-element spiritual bead emits a dazzling light, and the simple, vicissitudes, deep, and mysterious runes are constantly flowing on it, exuding the majesty of the avenue. At the same time, after the power of the 5 elements enters the 5-element spiritual bead, it seems that it was transformed into another kind of power. This kind of power, through the feedback of the 5-element spiritual pearl, followed Jason's meridians and entered the heart of the face. The 5-element spiritual pearl and the heart of the plane formed a perfect combination inside Jason's body and outside his body. During the process of mutual transformation between the two, Jason felt as if his whole person was bathed in the sacred breath. In an instant, the 5 elements of divine power that had been exhausted in his body were completely replenished. Not only that, Jason's entire body was strengthened again, and the power of the 5 elements instantly exceeded the limit of Jason's original divine power. Click, click, click. A burst of explosions sounded in the void. Jason's bones, internal organs, meridians, and flesh and blood were once again strengthened. His body, which had reached the limit of the lower spiritual god, actually began to transform and break through. In Jason's mind, the 5-element spirit orb exuded bright light, and powerful mysterious auras penetrated into every part of Jason's body and were deeply imprinted in Jason's mind. The next moment, boom. A strange fluctuation of the laws of heaven and earth came, and an inexplicable pressure enveloped Jason in front of the heart of the plane. Jason reached the limit of the lower god's divine power. At this moment, something happened, a complete transformation. This is outside the mysterious space. Brought, who was originally in despair and pain because of Jason's failure, was stunned after feeling the next changes in the heart of the plane and Jason. Brought is very familiar with what happened to Jason, the unique law fluctuations. This is the unique law that comes with every promotion after becoming a god. This Jason has actually been promoted to the middle spiritual god at this time, and the heart of plane Brought, who has been guarding this mysterious space for tens of thousands of years, also knows the situation of the heart of plane very well. With his eyes, he could tell at a glance that this face-faced heart was being reborn at an astonishing speed. Yes, it means getting a new life, rather than simply repairing the most superficial things like he did before. Under Brought's excited eyes, the heart of the plane, which was constantly trembling and about to be broken and destroyed, gradually stabilized. At the same time, a large number of broken five-color lights in the mysterious space were connected together again. Huh. In front of the plain heart, a large number of five-color light rainbows became stable. At the same time, Jason's promotion to the intermediate spiritual god was completely completed. Looking at the plain heart in front of him, he felt the amazing breakthrough in his body. With the power of the five elements, Jason exhaled a long breath. Whoosh! The next moment, Jason turned around, stepped out into a large amount of five-color light, and walked towards Brat's location outside the mysterious space. As Jason took a step forward, the five-colored rays of light that were originally blocking Jason's face seemed to have life. They naturally retreated and gave Jason a path to pass. This is not because Jason has completely mastered the fifth grade formation, but when he has completely repaired the heart of the plane, Jason instinctively seems to have a connection with these five-color rays of light in his heart, and can be in this mysterious space. Take a free walk. Crossing the mysterious space, Jason came to Brat in an instant. Jason, you succeeded. Brat said with excitement on his face when he saw Jason. Yes, I succeeded. Jason's face also showed joy. I really didn't expect that you could completely repair the heart of the plane. Looking at the energy transmitted from the heart of the plane, I'm afraid that for at least tens of thousands of years, the barrier between the stern continent and the god realm will be destroyed. It's extremely stable, and you don't have to worry about the invasion of the god realm. Is this God's will? Brat looked at Jason with emotion. This plain heart is so powerful that even he can only perform simple repairs. However, Jason, a small low-level spiritual god, actually makes the plain heart completely rejuvenate and return to its most powerful state. The peak state and such an unexpected ending were something Brat had never imagined before. Haha. Jason smiled. Just as he was about to say something, his expression suddenly changed. By the way, I forgot that when the heart of the plane was destroyed before, the five-color light blocking the barrier between stern continent and the god realm was broken for a period of time. During this period, will there be any gods? The world's god-level powerhouse appears? Jason couldn't help but said solemnly. At the beginning, Snapshot and the others came because the five-color light in the mysterious space broke once. Before, the break took longer than before, which made Jason feel a little worried. It's possible. Brat's brows also frowned. No, I have to go back to stern continent, quickly. Jason said resolutely. Forget it, now that the heart of the plane has been stabilized and the seal set by His Majesty the God King is once again strong, I don't need to stay in this spiritual beast mountain range all the time. In this case, I will also accompany you on a trip to stern mainland China, Brat also said. Ahem. However, before he could finish his words, Brat's face turned pale again, another mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth, and his whole person looked extremely weak. In the past tens of thousands of years, every time the heart of the plane was loosened, Brat had to expend his original power to stabilize the heart of the plane. The original power was consumed again and again, and Brat himself was injured, making Brat had been injured for tens of thousands of years and had not recovered. Because he had tried his best to keep the heart of the plane from being broken, Brat had been injured again, and his whole person had reached an extremely weak state. I am afraid that without a few years of rest, Brat will have difficulty even moving, and if he cannot be treated in time, he may even die. Senior Brat, you'd better take a good rest first and recover from your injuries. Jason, as an elixir master, could naturally see Brat's situation and couldn't help but express concern. Brat could only nod helplessly. After saying goodbye to Brat, Jason immediately flew along the void towards the location of stern continent. Actually, Jason and the others are not wrong to worry. Before Jason had repaired the heart of the plane, the five-colored rays of light were all broken. The endless sea in the east of stern continent, the border of Kamikaze Empire in the north of the continent, the sky above the original Sin City in the south of the continent, and the endless sky above the Spirit Master Tower in the middle of the continent. The void suddenly twisted out of thin air, and a large number of space cracks appeared in the sky, forming huge black space holes. The terrifying appearance and breathtaking aura immediately attracted the attention of many powerful people on the continent. The five-color light rays emitted from the heart of the plane in the mysterious space are the space barriers connecting various places on the continent. Now that the heart of the plane is shaking, the five-color light rays are broken, which naturally leads to the collapse of the void. What's in the sky? What happened? Why does the void break into pieces? Such a huge space crack, I'm afraid even a 9th-level peak Holy Spirit Master can't do it, right? Eastern continent, the Endless Sea area, is sparsely populated, and the anomalies in the sky have not been discovered. However, the border of the Kamikaze Empire, the sky above the Sin City, and the endless sky above the Spirit Master Tower in the middle of the continent are all inhabited, and many of them have some the 7th-level Imperial Spiritual Masters, the 8th-level Imperial Spiritual Masters, and even the 9th-level Holy Spirit Masters all rose into the sky one by one, looking at the huge space crack with horrified faces, wondering what happened. Bang! When everyone looked horrified, the void, which was constantly revealing cracks in space, suddenly made a huge roar. The entire void instantly shattered, revealing a huge black hole. This black hole, it was pitch black, without a trace of spatial turbulence, like a passage leading to an endless abyss. This strange scene immediately caused many strong men who were flying up to the sky to watch, to involuntarily retreat a little and lower their height in the air. Such a thing is too weird. I must send a message to all the adults at the Spirit Medicine Master Tower. Today's continent is almost dominated by the Spirit Medicine Master Tower. Many powerful people in the sky have the same relationship with the Spirit Medicine Master Tower. All those who were related to each other spoke out one after another, but before they could finish their words, boom! In the dark, black hole that resembled a space passage, terrifying auras were instantly transmitted. Haha, is this the Stern Continent? Does Lord Barbarian God just want us to capture this continent? It's so lacking in spiritual energy, it's really uncomfortable. Haha, it turns out this is the Stern Continent. It looks like countless figures, like birds flying into the forest, rushed out crazily from the dark space passage and flew out in all directions. Haha, there are a few little guys here. A voice rang in the ears of a large number of powerful people who were watching this strange situation. This scene completely stunned all the powerful Emperor Spiritual Masters, and even the Holy Spirit Masters present. The auras of countless powerful men made their hearts tremble with fear. They were horrified to find that the aura of each of these figures rushing out of the cracks in space was extremely terrifying, and none of them was inferior to them. A large number of strong men flew out of the endless black hole. All the strong men in Stern were stunned. They could even see that there were many figures heading out from the black hole. Rush!